right, so that's what it is. And of course, I want to say we're grateful to you for staying with us here on the show. So we mentioned that yesterday, officially, we have the launch of the Black Star Experience. Now, the question is, how do we execute it? It's a lot. If you're listening to the coordinator and the person of Rex Omar speaking about what they intend to do, the 7 pillars that he mentioned and all, which includes cinema, literally works, it has audio. It also includes the issue of how we're able to send our brand out there to about 20 different countries and all of that. I mean, it's a big package, but how do we go about this? So you already know, Edem is in here with me, and also I've got Robert Klaus seated here with me as well. Don't forget that on the 10th of May at the Grand Arena, we have got the TGMA coming up, and I'm sure by now you already voted for who you think is supposed to be winning any of the categories. And if you haven't yet, I don't know, Robert, they still have time to do so?
Yeah, I mean, voting is still active. So
until when it closes? Until when?
Until Thursday next week.
Okay, all right. So you've got a few days to do so.
Days to be able to do so, yeah.
Okay, so please go ahead. We'll talk about some of the things. I understand that the unsung category has got something special, and Robert will be sharing that with us. But let's take a look. You guys were there yesterday.
Yes.
I couldn't make it for obvious reasons, but I mean, I was able to watch it on the platform, the Jubilee House platform that they put on the live feed on there. And so, yes, it was a good thing. We loved everything that happened over there. But you guys were on the grounds. Did you see a sign of proper execution of what we intend to do? If you look at the way they went about it, from Rex Omar to the president's promise to the Honorable Mamaga, you saw beyond the talk, you saw some seriousness, some execution plan?
I'm not too sure what you mean by execution plan, because execution plan would have already been created. And then the launch of this particular activity would be an element or an item within the execution.
So then do you think they've got, from what you saw over there, they've got the potential of executing what they are?
What they said they're going to do. They have started, you know, because the fact that you have a plan and then you are able to work around it. And if you look at some of the creatives that were shown on the place, some thinking has been done.
Okay.
Which means some of these things have been created and they've been approved, which is supposed to speak to what the Black Star Experience stands for. They have animations that they've worked on. They have videos they've worked on that they play back at the venue. So what it simply means is that work has not just been done, but a very solid plan has been put in place, and they are executing the components of the plan, and one of which is this particular engagement. Prior to that, they had an engagement with some selected media folks. Exactly, and it was for immersion and for buy-in and for them to know exactly, you know, how the plan is like and what it's supposed to be about in terms of, you know, the things they're going to achieve. So having the launch with the president being present and all the you know, stakeholder or the stakeholder community present simply follows a particular or presupposes that a particular plan has been developed and they are following that. And clearly you can see that is going on. But what we are yet to experience on a larger scale is the actual element of the Black Star Experience. Okay. From my understanding, there's still going to be a lot of engagements with the stakeholders in the various sectors and then across the country, you know, to ensure they are able to execute. So I think everything begins from conception, and you want to work on conception, translating it to its physical equivalence, and that particular process is usually step by step. And I see that that's exactly what you're doing.
Okay, so from what you said, as an event person, it looks positive what we want to do.
Obviously, yes. I mean, all the indicators clearly shows that it looks positive, you know, because they're putting things in place, they're working. I mean, from almost at this particular point, I can backtrack into what work has been done by thoughts and go like, okay, so this plan has been put in place, and that's why they can execute after this particular point. And so there's I can tell that there's something that they are following, and that particular blueprints or white paper whatsoever is what is probably going to be the basis for the execution of the entire project.
Okay, and then you were also there. Did you see the same thing, or you saw something different from what Robert saw?
Oh, for me, I really saw some level of political commitment.
Okay.
And that was even, I mean, kind of endorsed or re-emphasized in the speech of the president, where he said he is opening the door he's opening the creative arts. And when he does we should ensure nobody closes the door. And he is ready to invest. And even made reference to, I mean, you know, he has a policy known as a big push, which is geared towards infrastructure development. And he says that he's ready to push in the big push in most of the, tourism and creative sector. So, that is a political commitment. And, from 120 days promises, this is one of his flagship programs as a president. So, no president wants, because at the end of the day, the flagship programs are top of mind programs and people can easily refer you to. So if there are not deliverables, people can say, you said this and you couldn't do it. So it makes the person attaches himself to that because he knows that people will make reference to that. And I was really happy with, the commitment he's shown. We just want to see that. And if you engage with the members of the secretariat, it clearly you get a sense of a certain backing. And it is why I'm not surprised that within a very short time, the president was sworn in January, and all of these people didn't take office January. It took some time. So the government in 4 months, these people are not even up to 4 months. And for them to put this in place, it shows that there's a certain commitment. And he puts that secretariat at the presidency, which means that if there's a challenge, you can easily get it sorted out. You don't have to go to a certain ministry or a certain agency somewhere where there will be bottlenecks and some sort of
cutbacks and all that.
You understand? So this runs straight to the presidency so that we can address it. And because, if you, I don't know whether I can go in now. If you look at the whole essence of the Black Star experience, it's a very huge thing. Because this goes into nation branding. And if you know nation branding, it's a very serious thing. Countries have been able to do that. Yes, Ghana, we have certain culture activities going on, we have certain tourism, but there should be that conscious effort and intentionality to have some umbrella and a group increasingly thinking about how to sell this. And that's what nation branding does. It creates a certain unique image and identity for a country. And this doesn't need disintegration, where everybody is doing what they are doing, the tourism sector is doing this. Somebody must be the overarching.
That will cover all the others.
Yeah, so they will think for them and even pick things to them because they know that this falls into this. And if you look at it, there is a certain nation branding index done by IPSO, and some of the countries, you take a country like UK has been able to build their nation in such a way that people see that when it comes to education, it's the UK. A country like Switzerland has been able to brand, they've done the nation branding to the extent that when it's about finance and investment, it's Switzerland. So, when it's creative arts, when it's entertainment, which country comes to mind? The world over. When it's about entertainment, it's about creative art.
You want to go to US, Hollywood.
And when it's about cuisine and everything, gastronomy, France. So, there should be that conscious effort to be able to create that unique identity. Because what it does is that the importance of doing this is that economic development. It opens up. And when there is money being pumped, what it means is that it's going to create employment. And when it creates employment, namely, it means the living of people are going to get better. And one other thing too about nation branding, which is very important, that we need to, it's when in the area of tourism, if you check the researchers, all the countries who are making money in tourism are countries who have a lot of activities for tourists.
Okay, within the year.
Yes. So, I mean, this goes into that. And that is why in the president's speech, he talked about going to support the private sector and other people to do what they call water parks and other things.
Okay.
Because it's quite important. When you come here, I mean, before people can spend, you need to create the activities.
Okay.
So, I was very happy listening to the speech of Rex Omar.
Wrapping up for me.
They have a 7-pillar thing, and listening to the speech of Rex Omar, he said that the theme or their focus of the Black Star experience is amplification, amplify, and or create. The amplify is that the existing programs, they are going to amplify them, Pan-Affairs, Beyond the Return, all of them. They will give them the necessary support. Then those who they think there is a need to create, they will create. And he made mention of beach parties.
Okay.
And also, I mean, street carnivals across other regions. And I mean, he said that why should we as a country sit for somebody to create an event, come and take dollars from us, then we build an event and the person is taking it around.
All right.
We want to create our own, and this is the starting point. So for me, I think it's quite crucial for us as a country to brand. Nation branding is quite important.
You mentioned that it's a very huge project. Now, we've seen this before, Robert. If we saw what Beyond the Return, Year of Return actually did for us, you know, and like he rightly said, some of them, they're going to actually amplify them, others they're going to recreate and all that. Do you see we creating something as huge as what we have been able to do with the Beyond Return and the Year of Return with what we seek to do? Or this is even some way bigger than those two?
Look, so I think we first of all need to understand the difference between the Black Star experience and the Beyond, the 30 December or whatsoever, Beyond the Return components and stuff like that. So you have, before the Beyond the Return, what was it?
Year of Return.
Year of Return, which is an event, and then
to commemorate 400.
You now planned an activity for the rest.
Yeah.
You know, like subsequently, people were supposed to come, then what's going to happen? And then we have this December
experience, if you want
that
to put
eventually
it that way.
was, you know, branded, given the Dirty December vibe and all of that, or December in GH, which had many events, you know. So the Black Star experience literally sits on top as like an overarching brand for the arts.
Okay.
And if you take the United Nations, the UNCTAD model, you clearly know that there are about 9 main fields of the arts, including media, including, you know, artisans. All of these elements are within that particular space. And all of these things are within the Black Star experience. And the Black Star experience seeks to capitalize on everything arts from January through to December. Now, in this particular process, it's encompassing what already exists, which is what they are seeking to amplify. So for the things that do not exist, then they are seeking to create. So this is a bit broader, if you understand. So just to answer your question, the Black Star experience in itself is broader, and within it comes a need for certain things to be created, especially in areas that have not been touched or are untapped. And these things will happen within the other months, and they are going to be spread across the various regions in the country. So that's the understanding that exists with the Black Star experience being an overarching experience with respect to the arts.
Which points that they mentioned that really stands out for you? I mean, they mentioned the issue of audio. Edem spoke about...
That's the pillars. The cinema,
those are the 7 pillars.
Sound.
Exactly.
I mean, heritage and all of those. 7 pillars.
I want to find out which one of them stands out for you and you think that would be very...
Honestly, everything is relevant. Everything interplays when it comes to the arts. And you need to be able to project, because there are people belonging to various sectors, and for each of the sectors, they also have their needs that require to be met. So for me, it's not necessarily about the sectors. For me, it's more about the foundation that holds the sectors together. So I have 4 categories or 4 legs, so to say. The fact that we have people within the space who are creatives. These people need to be empowered, training. They need to understand what is possible, exposure. They need to be able to attain the height of everything art. And then we have the businesses that are within the space. For me, the businesses are usually responsible for creating the economic activity within these spaces, and they need to be empowered. So if you, for example, if you empower a certain multi, multimedia is now going to have KMJ, who's going to sit on this platform. KMJ is going to wear beautiful clothes, which is going to promote fashion, and we're going to have producers, we have cameras. So if you empower the business, you're empowering people. You understand? So what is important is to identify these organizations and empower them so that they can deliver more, because they're going to pay taxes. They're, literally they are going to be able to run the space, and that is how economic activities are handled. And then you go to the other one, which is the creative professionals or the professionals who work within the space. Because again, even though we are discussing Black Star Experience, which basically sits within the space of the creatives, the ultimate focus is not the creatives. Because there are accountants who work at multimedia, even though multimedia is a media organization. There are salespeople, there are lawyers, there are, so you literally have a platform that employs all of the value chain in terms of all the people playing different roles. And then you now come to the support activities, the infrastructure that we need to be able to make all of these things possible. If you are talking about inviting people into the country, what's happening to our roads, what's happening to our lights at night, because we are promoting Accra by night, what's happening to data, are we dropping the values of data so that we're able to browse more, so we can engage more, we can put out content, are we, so all of these things, for me, these are 4 main legs for me that these activities sit on. So the 7 pillars, yes, I like them and everything, and they deal with sectors and all of that, but I think that the underpinning thing, the thing that holds the backbone, the legs that would make it thrive, I think that these elements need to be addressed, and then find ways and means for the various ministries to also work together to contribute to their quota. Imagine all of this without security.
Yeah.
Imagine. So it's not just tourism. It's not just inviting people. Like,
it's a long chain.
Yes, and we have to find a way to rally every region, every ministry that has a role to play to ensure its success, because that's how it has to be.
Okay, now we'll take a look at what the president said during the launch yesterday, and then we'll maybe focus on some of the things that he said personally in terms of supporting the Black Star Experience.
I have a speech here, but I'll make a few comments before I read my speech, as has become my practice nowadays. This has been a beautiful event. And I want to thank Jifar, the ministry, Rex Omar, and all those involved in the Black Star Experience, because it's a multifaceted component of our whole tourism experience. Black Star Experience is the overarching superdome of everything that is a component under it, and Rex Omar expatiated that very well. Today we're doing this at a historical monument. In 1957 we gained independence, and in addition to the Black Star Square, which is to our right, we have this monument, which is called the Independence Arc. Now, if you're a student of history, you know what arcs represent. In the past, Alexander the Great, Otto von Bismarck, Napoleon, all of them, when they went to war and they were victorious, an arc was built to commemorate the victory that they had gained. And so when Kwame Nkrumah gained us our independence in 1957, this arc is the monument to actually memorialize. On top there, you see AD 1957. For those who understand Latin, AD means Anno Domino, and AD represents after Christ. So we have 2 ages in all our history. We have before Christ, which is called BC, and then we have AD, which is after Christ. And so Anno Domino, the year of 1957, Ghana chalked a success, and this arc was built to commemorate that success. And when it was built, Kwame Nkrumah, together with his Pan-Africanist comrades, Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, and all of them, they envisaged the concept of the Black Star Because in all our history, you look in the sky, you see a star shining. Because we are miles away, you can see it glitter. But when you go closer, it might not necessarily be white. It could be a different color. And so in all the commemoration of the stars in the sky, it was envisaged that Ghana, the first country to gain independence, was going to be the star of all of Black Africa, including the diaspora. And that is why Kwame Nkrumah talked about the Black Star, the African personality, and all that to make us proud in our identity and who we were. In the last 8 years, attempts have been made.
So that was the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, speaking at the launch yesterday. Rex Omah also spoke, and then we had Honorable Jifago Mashi also spoke as well. I want us to listen to the President very well now. One of the major things about this thing is finance. How are you able to fund them so that they become as strong as you want? Because obviously you're not going to go into any other country and say, I want to come and promote my country here in about 20 different countries, but I don't know what monies I'm going to be using in pushing these people or whoever you intend to take to that place to go and promote it, whether it's music style or whatever it is, as part of the pillars that you've stated. Do we look like in the next 4 years we'll be able to have the funds to move this?
I think that for a manifesto promise that has that level of commitment and then the backing of the president, there clearly is a plan for some form of funding. Otherwise, then it becomes something that feels like you didn't plan for it well before you actually...
Well, we've seen some before, not just even this government. We've seen previous government have major things they want to do and have promised that they want to do. Even at the point that they even release funds, those involved or those who are leading the projects do not use the funds for those things.
Okay, so I understand where you're coming from. That is why I think that I want to give it to them for being smart enough to say, you know what, we are going to amplify and then we are also going to create where there's a need. Which means that almost immediately, if they want to execute, the first is to identify the ones that exist, partner with them and amplify. Right? Because I think in the description of the entire Black Star experience, one of the things they mentioned was partnerships. And so if that still, obviously, it still remains, and once they are going to work with partnership and their focus is to amplify, and then where there's a need for something to be created, they would create, they can almost immediately, partner the people in the field already, and then, begin to align and then execute, all under the umbrella. So once you begin that, obviously, again, this is going to happen in phases. There is no way you can execute all the two in terms of the amplification and the creation of the new at the same time. It's going to be over a particular period. So in terms of phasing out, if you say for phase one, you are going to partner with existing big names, brands, etc., and empower them to be able to amplify what they are doing, then that becomes your phase one project. Then while you do that, you are planning in your phase two. So I think they would have, strategically, they can have enough time to be able to work on what exactly they need to create. And obviously that should be based on having done a good assessment. And then if you take what has been referred to as pillars, they can clearly identify the areas that are lagging and then therefore go into that particular space and create value for those specific areas if there's none, so to say. So I think, the plan in itself allows for you to be able to manage the projects and manage the ability to look for investment to support the other phases.
Okay, let's look at the industry itself and how the industry will contribute to this. I mean, I know how it is when you're doing some of these things, and then the next day we'll find out that about 3 people or 4 people have been taken to a certain place in the hope of going to promote Ghana. And then we see about 6 other people sitting here in Ghana saying that, why didn't they take me? We know how things are done in this country. Do you think that the people that you saw over there understood what the president wants to achieve with this, and so they are ready to support if they don't let them become a part of a certain aspect of it? I'm talking about the creatives.
A quick one before, I come down the financing. When the president was speaking, he made a certain statement, which for me, I thought was very bold. He said, the creative sector is seen as an engine of growth and job creation. However, over the years, what makes us unique has been under-invested. And as a president, vice president, he knows. He knows the budget, what goes into other sectors. And he clearly said that it has been under-invested. That has to change. And from today, I'm saying it will change. That is commitment right there. So for him to understand how that place that has been underinvested, and for him to say that and go on to say that he's opening up the sector, then clearly, I mean, that will be done. And also I engaged Restoma, who said that some banks have approached them and developed products for the Black Star experience.
Okay.
Because certainly, certain private people would want some facilities to be able to execute certain projects. So, I mean, it's not going to only come from government, but what they want to create the environment.
So it makes it easier for others to come and also invest into it.
Of course. So, I mean, and at the launch, they said, we are open for investment. The private sector, they threw a hand to them to come in. And I think as it's been launched, their website has been up today.
Okay.
So from now going, I'm sure a lot of investors and other people will engage and look at certain areas they can tap in to be able to go. And your question
about the support from the creative.
There's a form of PR campaign because it's nation branding. I mean, and one of the key things you need to do when you are rolling out campaigns is stakeholder engagement. And that is where they will understand the vision, the mission, and the values of the campaign, and what will be their role in order to achieve those things. And I think, I mean, he has done that. They've started because it's a continuous. They've made a section of the media. They've launched to the whole Ghana, and I mean, they made us understood that we are going to engage. Already, they've engaged about 13. Agencies.
Okay.
And the engagement will continue to the extent that it will even trickle down to the districts and assemblies, various assemblies across the country. So, I mean, engagement is the only way forward. You know, they need to keep engaging and make sure that everybody who is in the value chain aligns with, the overarching objective, so that at the end of the day, it can be achieved, so that we will not get to a point where we'll be having these challenges. So, I mean, the key to that is stakeholder engagement.
I think it makes a lot of sense, so that at least you know where you belong. If you're not taken to any place or a certain place, you understand that it's not your time yet, before we start dragging this whole thing down. But our time is up, we're just about going. But Robert, maybe you can add your voice to that creative support quick, and then we'll also look at the president's humor, sense of humor, on the comment he passed about first year and Mame. And
he also charged it was a very striking thing. He then on the stage charged the Minister of Tourism to, as a matter of urgency, together with his team, get in touch with Eja Konimu, who is one of the founding fathers for one of our rhythms, palm wine, where people have created jobs out of, organized a ceremony so that they celebrate him while he's alive before he dies. That point he made there was very.
That's great. Okay, Robert.
Yeah.
Touch on the creative support, quickly, and then you can do the president's sense of humor. Maybe to wrap up.
I'm not too clear about which aspect of creative support, but in terms of what they are supposed to be doing for this project.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, there are four the legs. The creatives are a component of this whole thing. You can't take them out. If you are asking...
Yes, and that's understood, but dealing with them is the problem, and that's what I want you to focus on. If people are not given opportunities to represent us in certain places, would they sit back and say, you know what, if they are taking Edem and I am not...
Robert Angsa,
I will sit here and still support Edem because Edem is there.
Yeah, so those things, I think...
It's one of the major issues that we've...
Yeah, it's a major issue, but it's manageable and it's understandable. So what you need to do is to create a particular format or a criteria for the basis for which people are selected and people are not selected. Yeah. And once you make that public, yes, at the beginning people will kick against it, but over a period of time, Once rules have been set, you have to deal with it, and it's normal. Everybody will feel like, why are they not selected? And everybody cannot be selected, but it doesn't mean that the project should not select some people. So certainly, selection will be done, and that's why criteria is required, and that's why for every job application, there's always specifics you're looking for in terms of who qualifies to be in a particular space. So yes, I think that's the hard bullet or the hard bite everybody within the space will have to do in terms of managing the people within the space. So it has to be done. President's sense of humor is awesome, because he just literally, when you think of presidency, you think of a president, you think of something that is about, serious matters and everything. But he just clearly showed how you can have these serious conversations in a relaxed atmosphere. Why? Because he changed the mood of the atmosphere by just injecting some, bits and pieces of humor in that particular space. At a point, I told somebody, when he was talking about the flag, I'm supposed to wave this flag, but I'm not too sure where you can, when he was going on about that, I'm like, this looks like a Jerry Rollins moment. It's something
he does
that's
soft-spoken tone.
That kind of stuff.
And
so
even in those,
no, I prefer the lady, honey. I want the lady to hold her. That kind of stuff. So it was kind of it just felt like something that. Former president wants to do it, and it was quite exciting.
Okay.
Quite nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Quick, we got to go, but on some category is getting something special.
Yes, it's a groundbreaking partnership that the TGMAs has with Warner Music Africa, which is a sub of Warner Music Group. And we all know that in the world of music, there are three big brands. First of all, we have Universal, and then we have Sony Music, and then the third is Warner Music. So the third being Warner Music, being a global brand, associating with the TGMA Unsung, which simply means that upcoming artists who participate in the TGMA Unsung will now have their winners to be able to associate with Warner Music Africa, and that would mean a huge platform for them to be able to export our music globally, promote their brands, and then tap into their skilled workforce to be able to promote their works. And for me, this is one of the best news ever you can think about.
All right, I have to go now, but of course, we're going to have conversation around this again.
Sure.
But make sure that you look forward to the TGMAs. It's coming on the 10th of May right here at the Grand Arena. We're definitely going to be there. But of course, that's been our show for this morning. Thanks a lot for watching. We're back again next week on Monday right here on the show at 6 a.m. My name is KMJ, and it's been a pleasure serving you this morning here on the show. Good morning. You have a great day.
When Jifa said, we will succeed because the steer is in your hands, I almost said, Mama be steer, no, but I realized the steer is in my hands already. Thank you.